Hello and welcome to my channel. This is the Kingdom Currency YouTube channel and I am Sam Wagner. I own and operate Kingdom Currency and we are going to start a new series called Fancy Talk Market Report. Now this is mostly going to be going over fancy serial numbers, but also just everything else that's been selling in the world of paper money because, I watch a lot of other people's market reports, and I gotta say, every time as I'm looking at what's sold, I'm always thinking to myself, man, that sold for cheap, or wow, I can't believe that sold for that much. So I kind of wanted to bring you guys my 2 cents on it, and today we're actually not going to be talking about a fancy serial number, but more duplicate B series star notes. So I'm sure you guys know a little bit about these, but if you don't, basically what happened is the BEP accidentally duplicated a certain amount of these serial numbers within the certain range. And so the range is serial number 1 to 250,000, and then serial number 3.2 million up to 9.6 million. So if you have a series 2013 B star note printed within that range, then there is a potential for you to find a matched pair, meaning there's another note with the same serial number on it. And if you do happen to match one of those notes up to its pair, you could realize some potentially extreme rewards for doing so. Right now, I would say that these notes, and this might shock some of you, but I would say that these are worth $80 to $400. If it's circulated, I would say $80 to $125. If it is uncirculated and it is a Fort Worth print, then $300. If it's uncirculated and it is a DC print, then I would say it's worth about $400. Now, I actually have numbers to back that up, so I'm not just saying this, and that's the reason why I wanted to make this video, to go over this type of error. I see a lot of people selling these notes for $20. I mean, if you find that note out in the wild, 1 to 20 is nothing to complain about, but I often sell these notes for a minimum of $80 in pretty bad condition. I'm going to show some sales from other eBayers, and then I'm going to show some sales of my own for this note. So right here, we have a 2013 B $1 duplicate serial number star note. They put the serial number in the title and the print. So if you guys are going to list these, and I have a lot to say about listings, I actually teach a group. It is a Kingdom Currency eBay group. If you guys are interested in joining that, I will leave a link down in the description, and I will talk more about it later. In the group, I always talk about how to list effectively on eBay, and you guys are going to see today some of what effective listing can really kind of reward you with here. Listing wise, I mean, the photos are not bad. I am against auctions. I am always preaching in the group, do not do auctions. The reason being is because an auction, especially in this category of where we sell, so we sell in the paper money category, auctions need to be longer than 10 days. 10 days is the max amount of time that eBay gives you to do an auction. If you look at Heritage, if you look at the big auction houses, the turnaround time for you to send the note, them to actually auction it off and send a check back is about 4 to 6 months. It takes a while, but if you think about it, that actually makes a lot of sense, because in order to auction off some things, people need to know about it, because the very nature of an auction, it's short and quick. You can get money fast if you have a good item, but you will not realize about 99% of the time the true value of the item that you are selling on eBay auction with a 10-day auction. The reason being is because there's no prior advertisement. People do not know that the item is up for sale. And not only that, if you do not know how to list on eBay, if your title's wrong, if your pictures are bad, if your item specifics are not correct, which is very important for eBay, nobody's going to find that auction to begin with. I have seen these notes, on average, they sell for about $20 to $40 via auction, which is what most people would say that these notes are worth. I've seen some sell recently for $7, $5. I myself have sold them for up to $300 and even higher. I do not use auctions though. I just make very good listings. My mentality is I always compare auctions to fishing. If you go fishing for 10 minutes, the chances of you catching a lot of fish are much smaller than if you were to go fishing for 10 hours or something like that. If you're out on the lake all day, you will most likely, very, very likely, catch more fish than if you went fishing for 10 minutes. Now, it is possible to go out and have that one day where that 10-minute fishing trip yielded more than a 10-hour fishing trip, but it's extremely unlikely. So this note sold for $18.50 via auction. It had 2 bids. That's not too bad. Go ahead and move on here. Here is another $18.50. This is from the exact same seller. Again, 2 bids. This one is also in the range. Moving along, we have a $20 sale with 1 bid. So this ended on October 5th, and all of these sales are within the last 90 days. This is one of the lower serial numbers. I like and actually list the lower run of 250,000 for more because they are technically more rare. Also, if you didn't catch it from what I was saying earlier, DC prints are more rare than Fort Worth prints simply because they are older. The average lifespan of a $1 bill is about 6.6 years. To my memory, the DCs were printed in either 2013 or 2014. I cannot quite remember, but they are older than the Fort Worth. So whenever you find a Fort Worth, it is most likely going to be in better condition than a DC note will. If you have a really crisp condition DC note, that thing is worth more than a Fort Worth. But on this, my opinion on this note, I would have asked at least $100 for this because of the lower end of the spectrum. Now, to some of you guys, this might be very shocking information, and you might be thinking, what on earth is this guy talking about? How on earth could you sell or list a note like this for $100? Well, I'm going to show you some of my sales and show you that I've sold quite a few for over $100. So yeah, this was a $20 sale. And again, the reason I would say this only sold for $20 with, as you can see, only 1 bid, because there is a lot of demand for these notes. There's something that we talk about in the group called sell-through rate, and basically if you look up how many notes are listed compared to how many notes are sold within the last 90 days, for a duplicate B series star note, there is just as many listed as there are sold. So basically, if you have 1,000 items listed within the last 90 days, and then you go and you check how many sold within the last 90 days, if currently there's 1,000 listed and within the last 90 days there has been 1,000 sold, that means that the sell-through rate is 100%. And basically what that sell-through rate talks about is the demand for your item. So these notes right here actually have a 100% plus rate, meaning there is a very high demand. Now, with that being said, with all that high demand and eBay showing us that with the sell-through rate, what's up with this 1 bid here? Well, there's a lot of things I could say about that. Number one, the auction, it's not on long enough. These listings really need to marinate on the platform. You need to have enough people come and look at your note. Certain people are only willing to pay $20. Certain people are willing to pay $120. Certain people are willing to pay $300 to $400 for these notes if they're in the right condition, but it all depends on the buyer. So one of my biggest things against auctions is that it's just simply not on the platform long enough for the right buyer to be connected to the item that you're selling. So that's why I would say this only sold for $20. Looking over here, this is another $20 sale. This is from a different seller. This one also only had 1 bid, which tells me that it just simply was not on the platform long enough. So this one had a bit more action with 6 bids. This one was for $20.50. This is a 039. Whenever you're above the 250,000 range, and first off, all of these will start with at least 1 0. So if you have a B 2013 star note, if it does not start with a 0, it's automatically cut from the range. So we have 03, 04, 05, 06, 07, 08, and 09. Those are the ranges. For 03, it starts at 3.2 million. So there's only 800,000 in the 03 range. For 09, it ends at 9.6 million. So there's only 600,000 for the 09 range there. Basically what I'm getting at is I have kind of noticed the 03s and 09s do tend to sell for just a little bit more just because they are a bit more rare. And theoretically, and right now we are so early in the market, there are still many people that I talk to that have actually never even heard about this area yet. As more people come into it, and especially as we start to see pairs appreciate in value on the big auction houses like Heritage Auctions and Stack's Bowers and stuff like that, that. I am expecting these to appreciate in value. I mean, from some of the guys like Blue, he's been talking about this. He's already seen, and I've already seen these prices increasing just over the last year, over the last few months. So these have definitely been appreciating. I don't think we are anywhere near the top yet with this error. These are really, really cool, and I do expect them to go up. So this only had 6 bids here, $20.50. Moving on, this is a $24 sale. This picture's pretty poor, in my opinion there. So this is a 1 bid. We can actually check how long this auction was if we click on this bids here. So I just opened that up in a new tab. This was a 7-day auction, so it was only on for 7 days. The end time wasn't too bad, but yeah, $24.07. In my opinion, that is a little bit low still. Next up, we have another $24.50, or this is $24.07. This one's $24.50, and this is by a pretty big seller, Jamie 55554 and Ronald JH. These guys do consistent auctions, and I still have found that even though these guys have a more consistent basis, I still have been able to outperform in sales, and I'm talking price-wise, not amount. Price-wise, I have been able to get higher prices than a lot of these bigger auction guys, just because auctions on eBay they're just very bad. I've tried them. I've given them so many chances. For me, doing an auction, it's like giving it away for pennies on the dollar, in my opinion. Now, there are that 1%. Like there was recently, months ago, there was a solid twos that sold for $15,000 on eBay auction. It was an LA block, San Francisco, and then a run, if I remember, and it was a 2017. It was ragged. It was very similar to this condition here, and that thing ran up all the way to 15 grand. Again, there is that 1%, but most of the time, auctions do not perform well. This was a $24.50 sale. That's not, again, like you can't really complain, but for me, I always get higher prices than this. Here, this was a $26.11 sale. This is from Ronald JH. That was the other giant auction seller on eBay that I was talking about. This guy managed to get $26.11 plus $4.79 shipping. So the buyer ended up paying about $30.90. That's not bad. That's about a $30 sale. But again, so I think this next one's mine. This is my sale. I think some of you guys might have seen this before, and I just want to talk about this. And this really shows, it kind of proves my point. So first off, this is one of my sales here. I sold this note for $25. And if you look down here, there's a pretty obvious problem condition-wise with this note. There is a giant square hole cut out in this note. Okay, so somebody cut a giant hole in this note. This is a duplicate B series star note. It's also stamped. It's also in absolutely terrible condition. I know it is a Fort Worth print because if you guys know anything about plate numbers, and we always talk about knowing what's on your money and what all this little stuff means, but a little tip, this one's for free. If your back plate number is a large print, that means it's from Fort Worth. If it's a tiny print, it's from DC. So I knew that this was a Fort Worth print because obviously right here, the plate number is cut off. But this note, being in this absolutely atrocious condition, brought in $25. So this is really important for a few reasons. Most people will appraise these notes at $20 to $40 in good condition. Here's my problem with that. This is pretty much one of the worst conditions you can get. It has a huge hole in it. It's wrinkled and stamped. I brought in $25 with this. That's because the value, first off, this was a buy it now. I don't do auctions because I know that to somebody who really knows the value, they're going to pay up for it. And so this brought in $25 in this horrible condition. So here's one of my next sales. Accepted a best offer of $100 on this note. I do not know if I can really open up. I'm trying to be cautious. If I click on, I think if I click on this, it might take me to the page and show the seller's address. I do not want to do that because that's not good for YouTube. But this was a decent condition DC print. I sold this duplicate B series star note for $100. It's definitely in circulated condition. You might not be able to tell. Let me see if I can zoom in here like this. Yeah, I guess I can do it like this here. I can't really scroll over though, but there are a few folds here and there's some pretty nice center folds on this note as well. If I go back, here we go. Right here, as you can see, there are folds, there's wrinkles, there's a lot of issues with this note condition wise here, but this brought in $100. Now I had it up for $135. I accepted a best offer of $100. That's why I had it on this screen here to show you guys what it sold for. And then again, this is not even the top. Now this is a circulated DC, and that's what I was talking about earlier. DC notes are more valuable than Fort Worth. All right, right over here, This is another DC. This one brought in $105. This is me not doing auctions, but because I have that experience with eBay, I know that if your listing's good, if you have a good quality listing, which we always talk about how to get those good quality listings, you will attract and you will game the algorithm to promote your item above everybody else, and you will get those people that will pay up for these valuable notes. These notes are very, very valuable, and as the days go on, again, 6.6 years, I think the first print was 2014. Today it's 2023. We're in October soon, you know, we'll be in 2024. As the years go on, these notes are going to get destroyed more and more. They will become more and more scarce, and so theoretically the price is going to appreciate. So yeah, this one brought in $105. Again, this was a DC print. Here is another DC print. This one brought in $99.77. That's just the offer that they sent. I'm not sure why. And everything I do is always free shipping. I don't charge for shipping on anything. Again, circulated. So you can see how circulated this one is. This is a DC print. This one brought in about $100. I was asking $140 for it. I accepted a best offer of $100. Again, no auction. Buy it now. The listing was marinating for a long enough time for the proper buyer to come along. Now here's a better one. This is a $200 sale. This is a 4 in a row 5s. That didn't really add too much value to it, I don't think. But DC print, again, this one's in nicer condition, which is why the price. I had it up for $260. He sent an offer for $200 and I accepted it. The condition of the bill is much nicer than the previous ones. I wouldn't say it's uncirculated. I really try to be very careful with assigning uncirculated grade, just because I don't want to upset somebody, like if they buy it and it's not, because like the corners aren't perfectly sharp, and see, as you can see, so I just kind of listed it as circulated condition. I'm pretty sure I did at least. Yep. Right down here, circulated. This one brought in $200. Right here, this is a $300 sale. Now, this is a crisp, uncirculated Fort Worth print, and that's exactly what I was talking about earlier. To me, right now, this is the top of the market. This is a crisp, uncirculated Fort Worth 2013B duplicate serial number star note. I would say Fort Worth's, if you have it completely crisp, uncirculated, which this one is, you have a $300 note in your hand. And if it's DC, then you have a $400 note in your hand. Now, the last sale I want to share with you guys, this one's a little bit different. So this was a low serial number Fort Worth 2013 B star note paired up with a $50 star note, same serial number pair. So this was quite a big one, as you guys can see. I would say, because I was really thinking about this and thinking about, I mean, there's obviously multiple factors that are affecting the value here. I'm not going to say that it brought in this price tag just because this note up here. One of the main things is the serial number. It's low. It's a ladder. It is a true trinary, which those have been making quite a lot of headway in the market today. It's a true trinary, and it's paired up. This one's not a sheet note on the bottom. Neither is the one up top. If this was a DC print, this would have been a sheet note, but I would probably say 75% of the value came from the note on top. Maybe 60%, but I'm really thinking it's most of this because this is a duplicate B series star note and it's a low serial number. To my knowledge, there are no pairs yet that are under or in the 250K range. Those pairs are absolutely going to be worth more than every other pair because there is just so much less room to work with. But I do not know of any pairs that are in this low range. But if you could have a low serial number pair like that, man, I have no idea what the value would be on that. There's a lot of things that I want to say about where this is going, and I might talk about it in this video, but 75% value, if I was to multiply 1500 by 0.75, maybe not 75%, we'll try like 60%, because if I did 75, that'd be $1,100 something dollars. I don't know if I could really justify, you know, that note having that much value, but $900, I could probably see that. But again, this is a very special sale. There's a lot of things affecting the value. It's more than just this note up top. Both of these are really nice serial numbers. This 2013's in good condition, plus it's a pair, plus they're both true trinaries. But this just shows how much value these notes can really hold. So now what I want to do is I want to talk about where I see these going. So I'm going to close all these tabs out and I'm going to get Heritage Auctions pulled up. And once I do that, I'm going to bring you guys back in. All right, so I am on Heritage Auctions, and I want to talk about, so I have two pairs pulled up. The first one here is a duplicate B star note pair, and the second pair, I'll show you guys once I'm done talking about this one. So right here and right now, the pairs are really driven by condition, which makes obviously a lot of sense. So this is a 40 and a 25. Now this is pretty low. I'm not quite, well, I do know what the highest graded pair is, but I'm not going to share that. And I'm going to say it's not this, because there's plenty of examples of like 66 and 25s or like 65s and 30s. So this isn't the highest by any means. But right now, this pair, so this sold back in May of this year. Right now we're in October. It's October 6th. This is May 5th. That's about 5 months ago. This pair sold for $6,600. Now that's not how much this buyer made, because this includes the buyer's premium, but this price is good because it shows what right now a buyer is willing to pay. I know that there was a Stax Bowers auction that sold for $7,000. I do not quite know what the grades were, but here's what I want to say about this. So first off, the DC note was the higher graded pair, which is actually kind of amazing. That was the case. And the Fort Worth was the rougher condition, but you know what happens. You don't really know where these notes have been. So with the 40 and a 25, this brought in $6,600. Now, I want to show you something. This is another duplicated serial number error, but this is not the same error. So this is on $20 bill. Somebody happened to find two $20 bills with the exact same serial number. This one was a 64. This one was a 63. This pair sold for 36 grand. Here's why this is really cool. These errors are very similar. And to me, this right here shows the potential of where these pairs could go. I can't imagine that if these were the same pair, that it wouldn't have, like, not pair, if these were the same grades, that it wouldn't have sold for a similar price to this. When I see this kind of error, it kind of gives me a glimpse into what the future just might hold for these pairs. Now, right now, it's all condition driven, and I gotta say that a lot of people still do not know about this kind of error. Frederick J. Bart, he writes the United States Paper Money Error book. I have one of them right here. This is the 4th edition. He actually, whenever he comes out with the 5th edition, is going to include these in his book. And for a lot of diehard collectors that like to read, once they see that in the book, it's going to be very eye-opening, and it's really going to be bringing in a lot more attention. I think as more people come in, and especially more deep pocket collectors, if they like this error, these things are going to appreciate in value. And how a lot of times these errors work is it's really sales history that increases the value. Like if you guys, you know that Del Monte $20 bill, the first time that thing sold, it was like 30,000, maybe even under 10 grand. But recently, just going through the years, as these errors appreciate in value and as their sales history, that thing sold for $392,000 or $394,000, something crazy like that. Now, I'm not saying that this pair is worth that much or that it's ever going to be worth that much, but what I am saying is that as things start to sell and eyes start to turn to these sales, I believe that these are going to be appreciating in value. And I would not be surprised if we were seeing, like this thing come back to the auction block and it got over 5 figures. And as other pairs came, if we had higher condition pairs of this error, I would not be surprised if they got all the way up to $36,000, because, a lot of errors, it has to do with the story. I mean, I shouldn't say a lot of errors. With this error mainly, I think that the story and just what happened with it might attract more people and cause them to pay more. Now, we do not know how many pairs there are. I do expect for these notes to go up in value. And right now, again, I would say that they are worth $80 to $400. If it's circulated, $80 to $125. Obviously, there's a big gap between $125 and $300. As you could see, I did sell some notes for $200, some for over $125. Obviously, if it's like AU condition with no folds, but it couldn't pass the circulated, that's gonna bridge that gap in between $125 and $300. But yeah, $300 to $400 for uncirculated notes. That's like where I'm at with these. Those are the prices that I'm realizing. I already showed you guys those prices. I'm not just making this up, but yeah, I expect these to go up in value. So I'm going to talk a little bit about my group now. And if you guys are interested in joining, we'd love to have you. So I have the Kingdom Currency Patreon group. And basically what this group is, it is a community, and we are really taking off here, and not numbers wise. We got about like 15 people in the group, but we really have been cooking up some new things in that group. There's a lot of things that are coming down the pipeline that we've been working on, that I've been working on and sharing with the Patreons, that are really really going to be changing the way that we collect. I'm not going to share that in the video because it's all reserved for the group, but one day everybody will know about it. We got some products coming out. We got just ideas that are going to be coming to fruition that are really going to change the way that everybody collects. So right now, if you join the group, what you get access to is number one, the fancy serial number master list, which right now has about 70 fancy serial numbers, and that number's growing. With those 70 fancy serial numbers, you get the name, you get the type, you get the examples, the values of all of those. So you have access to that. It's a very critical and helpful tool that'll help you price accordingly as you're listing on eBay. Because as I'm making more of these videos, we're going to be talking about a lot of these fancies. You guys are going to see that oftentimes I'm also outperforming price-wise on the fancy serial numbers, kind of like how I am with the duplicate B-Series star notes, because I know and understand the amounts. I know how rare a lot of these notes are because I've calculated them and I've seen how many examples there are per run. And so with that, I'm pricing my notes accordingly and getting those sales. Like true trinaries, that was actually a term I coined up. When I learned how many there were, I'm like, wow, well, these should be priced at about, this range. And, I have sold true trinaries for 50 and up before. But anyway, so you're going to get access to that list. You get access to the Zoom calls. Every Monday through Friday, there is a call at 10 a.m. Central Time. We have on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, eBay group coaching. What that encompasses is I teach how to list on eBay, how to deal with customers, how to ship, how to list, how to source, how to work with banks, all of the in-between. I've had a lot of experience working with banks. I've actually been banned from 3 of them. I've learned the hard way, very valuable lessons on how to source properly in large amounts without getting yourself in trouble. So you get access to that. And then Tuesday and Thursday, we have Fancy Talk and Appraisal Call. Fancy Talk, we go systematically through the list and we talk about and go through the market on what serial numbers are selling for what prices, where they're going, what they should be selling at for 30 minutes. And in the next 30 minutes, we have an appraisal call where you can ask me as many questions as you want about what a note is worth, and I will tell you. It doesn't matter if you have 5 trinaries that are all worth the same thing. If you want to ask me what it's worth, I'm going to tell you. We also, on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, for my tier 2 patrons, which I only have two tiers right now, I have 30 minutes with you alone, and we talk about a little bit deeper concepts on where the market's going, how to make money, special notes, stuff like that. And you have access to all of the previous recorded calls on Patreon. I am coming out with some merchandise and some very, very cool bill searching tools. If you're in the group, you get discounted rates on those products. And right now, we still have an offer going on. For the first 100 people to join, I have 33% off any tier. So normally, tier 2 is $80 per month and tier 1 is $30 per month. But right now, I'm doing a 33% off deal, and the link will be in the description below. If you want to join, you can join for 33% off. So that's like $20 a month for the tier 1, which you get a lot of information in that tier 1. And then it's about like $53 or something like that for tier 2. Everybody that's in the group right now that attends the calls, they love it. Great testimonies of how they're getting a lot more sales. They've learned great things, and they just absolutely love the information. You also will get access to the Facebook group. Now, this Facebook group is meant to act as a forum. So if you guys request to join the Facebook group and you're not a Patreon member, I will not allow you in. It's only for Patreon members. In the Facebook group, we have the live coin Q&A crew. So Blue Ridge Silverhound's in there. We got Paula Bloom, Amanda Broderick. We have Coins and Ghouls, and we got a few other people in there as well. And so if you have coin talk, because we're growing, and as we get more and more people, we're going to be adding more calls, about coins and a bunch of other stuff. So if you guys have coin questions, you can actually post them in the Facebook group, and the live coin Q&A will answer your questions on that. And then also the Facebook group is just like if we have certain calls, I do posts about what calls, and also you can post your finds, you can post questions in there. So right now, that's what we offer. We have, again, the fancy serial number master list, and there is a few other resources in there as well. Very, very helpful websites. That's right now where we're at. We're growing every day. We're getting more and more people in there. I think we got about 14 or 15 members right now. This group is very, very helpful. I love doing it. I love chatting with, my patrons. They love it as well. They have really great testimonies of, being in the group. group and learning to sell. So yeah, if you guys want to join, we have the link in the description. Again, the first 100 people will get 33% off. Once we get to 100, that promotion's going to end. And those people will actually be locked in for as long as they decide to stay at that rate of $20 and like $53 a month. So I want to thank you guys so much for watching. I plan on doing these probably like once every week, maybe a bit more. Yeah, check out that group, subscribe, watch my other videos, and I will see you guys next time.